Welcome Between the Lines. 3 days till Christmas. Thursday night, we have our special 2-hour show with Congressman Chuck Fleischmann, who has quickly, I don't know if it's quickly, but he's emerged as one of the leaders in Washington and the House of Representatives and other places. And we got a whole lot to talk about to figure out what gridlock's going to do, where everything's at, what is his role going to be in the next 2 years as our representative and other things. But welcome, Congressman.
Alan, Merry Christmas. Good to be with you all. Great to be with your wonderful audience. We've done this over the years so many times. But before we get started, I want everybody to know just how thankful I am to have been elected now for the 7th time to represent really the most wonderful people in the world, the people of the 3rd District of Tennessee. I love the entire district. Obviously, this part of the district, I remember meeting you 12 years ago, has always been very special to me, very supportive, and just great to be here.
Oh, we're glad you're here. I will say this. I am excited that we have a little bit more clarity in some things in the country, and that, I mean, I feel almost like people are tired of all the bickering. They're tired of everything. Not the extremes. They're never going to change. In my 120 years of work, I've seen everything. But now it just seems like everybody's just, it's another announcement. Technology's forced the stuff down on us. But people need to understand that there's some real work that goes on underneath all of the press releases and the snapshots. And there's work to do, especially for us in the defense of our country. You've served as the minority representative on the Homeland Security. You've had to deal with a lot of major issues in security of our country. And obviously you're recognized across the country as a leader, if not the leader, in water and energy. Or is it energy and water? I always say water and energy.
And water appropriations.
I work for a water company.
Yes, that's good. Well, we need them both. But yes, and I'm probably now emerging as the most pro-nuclear member in either house. I'm going to chair 5 nuclear caucuses. We'll talk about that later. And I'm also going to chair the fusion caucus because, again, Oak Ridge leads in so many different areas, but we're going to lead again in fusion. So just great to be here. And I am Tennessee's appropriator. That's the only appropriator, one of 9 members in the House.
Bill in the Senate.
Bill in the Senate.
Senator Haggard, that should be
my good friend. Yes, I spoke to him last night.
Yeah.
We have 2 outstanding senators in Tennessee, Marcia and Bill. But I'm our person in the House, and I look out for the great state of Tennessee, and of course they always look out for me.
Yeah, they do. So, talk about your district a little bit. It got reshaped this year.
Yes.
We always had Scott and we had Campbell in some of those areas, but now we have less of those 2 counties.
We do, and we lost Union County in redistricting.
Yes.
Every 10 years, as you know, I love our great United Constitution.
I wore my Constitution tie.
Yes, you did.
We the people.
Fantastic.
Okay. All right.
And we have a redistricting, so the whole country goes through that. So my first district included only part of Roane County. After that, we had gotten all of Anderson and Roane, which I really, really wanted.
Yes, sir.
And we got. But I lost Bradley County in that first redistricting. Now I've got the ideal district. All of Hamilton, all of Bradley, all of Anderson, all of Roane, all of McMinn, all of Monroe, all of Polk, lost Union in the redistricting. I've got part of Campbell and part of Scott. And so we're in good shape. 10 counties.
It's hard to leave Knox County and not run into your district somewhere.
That's correct.
You better go severe and get out of here, right? I mean,
I tell our friends in Knox County, I'm to the north of Knox, I'm to the west of Knox, I'm to the south of Knox, but I'm omnipresent in Knox, even though I'm not the congressman there. The issues that we deal with here, particularly in the energy and water community and nuclear and everything that we do on the Oak Ridge Reservation, $7.4 billion worth of federal investment, and that is up and strong. But it has such a big impact on the region, probably 50, 60, maybe $70 billion worth of economic impact on all of our East Tennessee. Yeah.
Well, it stretches a long way. I mean, and people don't realize that if you look at the employment here of our 3 plants, of course, when I was a child, it was X10, Y12, and K25. Now it's U-Course area, and we have the CNS group at Y12, and then we have ORNL, UT Patel. But people don't realize that those workers are split between 3 counties pretty much: Knox, Roane, and Anderson. And actually, Knox, the last numbers I saw, had the most,
yes.
35%. So it is an impact on Knox County.
Just have to travel over to Pellissippi Parkway, and you'll see all the folks coming in and out.
Right, trust me.
So the Knox County media market and the Knox County business folks know how critically important the Oak Ridge Reservation is to their well-being, to our state's well-being. My gosh, I was with the president of Egypt just last week talking about Oak Ridge. I go around the world and people want to know what we're doing without exaggeration at all. Oak Ridge is leading our nation in so many key areas and is going to continue to do that. And I'd like at some point in time, maybe now or through this interview, to go over some of those great specifics, because it's federal investment, private partnership, but winning in Oak Ridge. There's no place like it in the world.
What are the big changes you've seen in the energy mission here in the last 12 years, 10 years? I mean,
we're winning more. We're winning more. Now, that might be because you got a pretty good congressman, maybe not. I'm getting like you in my old age. But I'll take a win when I can find it.
I got a degree in old age.
Yeah. And winning.
And winning.
So, but be that as it may, let me basically say what has gone on. Great history here in Oak Ridge. One of the proudest moments I had in Congress is when I worked to promote and get created the Manhattan Project National Park.
Yeah, and I've seen some press releases. Yes. They're doing a lot of stuff right now.
That is great. Now, of course, that's here, that's Los Alamos, and that's Hanford, the 3 big players. But that took a lot of work to get done. We got that done. But that's a testament to the workers in our history here. Great. Outstanding. Currently, though, before I got to Congress, there'd been a little bit of a lull. The national labs have a very competitive environment. There's 17 national labs. OR&L, in my tenure in Congress, has gone from doing most of everything a national lab does to everything. There is not a federal mission that a national lab does that we don't do at OR&L. We are number 1, bar none. So that's important. Y-12, doing a great job for the NNSA to keeping our nation's nuclear arsenal safe, but we're building the uranium processing facility. That was a dream when I came to Congress. It's going to be a reality. And then, of course, the cleanup mission, which is near and dear to my heart. Let's face it, we have a lot of older buildings. We have some legacy sites from the Manhattan era, from the Cold War era, that have to come down and be disposed of. I have worked tirelessly. We've got a good contractor there. They won the contract in UCOR, so I can talk about that.
Sure.
That's largely Amentum and Jacobs and other partners. But again, those 3 missions, it's jobs, it's success, it's economic vibrancy, and it's keeping Oak Ridge at the forefront. I've worked with 3 administrations now, Obama, Trump, and Biden, but all of the secretaries of energy. I was with Secretary Granholm just last week, down at her headquarters. It's Oak Ridge, Oak Ridge, Oak Ridge.
I kind of liked Ernie.
Ernie was good.
Ernie was good. Well, he was very knowledgeable, and we're talking about Secretary Moniz under the Obama administration.
We
and I always remember in 2012, in the State of the Union, President Obama actually mentioned OR&L. You remember that?
By name.
By name, yeah.
Premier National Lab. One of the few things we agreed on. We got that right. But I'll tell you what, Moniz and I, we did disagree on a lot of policies, and I see him on occasion, and he teases me about being a Republican and him a Democrat.
And a Red Sox and Mets.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Baseball like
he loves his Red Sox. He's got 2 baseball cards, Louis Tiant and mine.
Yours,
so that's
a
great.
Big sweep there.
Yes, we're really dating ourselves. Remember that wind-up Louis Tiant? You like the Red Sox too a little bit.
My father was from New England, and so I grew up with the Red Sox.
Your dad played professional baseball, didn't he?
He did for a little bit.
That's good.
But like everybody else, he tracked through it during the war. And then when you got a chemical engineering degree, you got to give up baseball and go be Manhattan Project.
Well, confession time for me. I'm still trying to play professional baseball.
Yes.
I'm 60 years old, and I'm still playing baseball.
You better just get in a fantasy league or something down there in Florida. Maybe a week of that, right? But you got good friends up in Washington for the Nationals. I mean, you go to the game.
I play with the team. They let me practice with the team. And I love baseball. I still play in the congressional football team. That was good. I'm actually in the Congressional Football Hall of Fame. I'm a much better baseball player, but that's Congress.
Republicans have actually started to compete in baseball. I mean, Democrats have dominated you with the Latin pitchers and others. I mean, they've been real strong.
10-0 win this past year, and I've always played well. I made a mental mistake, and I missed a no-seal sign, and I really was upset. Yeah, and I deserve to get in trouble. Yeah. I'm very tough on myself.
You wanted to steal.
I wanted
you're one of the few guys that can still run.
I stole some bases, but what I did was I tried to steal third off of second, and my coach sent me a no-steal sign, and I missed the sign. I just missed it, and I got back to the dugout, and I was down. I was down for about 3 days after that.
Ha! He loves baseball.
Love baseball.
All right, so we're going back to the district and
yeah.
and everybody, and we understand Oak Ridge, and most of the viewers here are within 25 or 30 miles of Oak Ridge. So let's say that we have viewers all over the country, but there's obviously they're impacted by all of that. But the corridor, let's talk down the corridor. I mean, I'm making it my own corridor, going down into, through McMinn and down into Cleveland and Chattanooga. We talked a few years ago about exciting things going on with the electric grid and computers and ORNL that were happening in Hamilton County.
Yep.
What's going on in Hamilton County overall now? Is the economy better?
The economy has been good and booming in Hamilton County. Obviously, Hamilton County has 350,000 people, so it's the largest district by far. I represent now in the new 3rd district probably close to 770,000 constituents.
It's always been about half, and that sounds like about 46,
yes.
48%.
And that's why getting Bradley with the 110 on top of it. I think Anderson's about 76 and Rome's about 56. Right. So, but
they come to play in Rome.
Absolutely.
Oof.
Oh, do they?
High percentage of voters.
And they do, and great cities.
And that's why they have so much participation. As you got Kingston, Harriman, Rockwood, on down. It's Oliver Springs. And
got to remember that. Good football teams too.
Well, we got into that last week. We had a little Cofield Oliver Springs discussion, and I made the comment that Oliver Springs, hang in there, somebody's got to come in second. And I got a couple of people call me and say, what do you mean?
So I represent them all. I love them all.
But that's right, you got Morgan County too.
I got Morgan County.
The heart of the district.
That's when we went over everything. We got Morgan County. We've kept that, and that has been wonderful, doing great things in Morgan. Let's talk about what's going on in Hamilton County, because when I was a practicing attorney for 24 years, the decision by Volkswagen to come to Hamilton County, come to Chattanooga, just transformed really the entire Southeast Tennessee region. Brought
What's
a
the
lot
employment?
of,
how many?
Oh gosh, over 3,000 now, and maybe
jobs.
growing. Good jobs, but that's just there. The secondary and tertiary industries, suppliers all throughout. So that has been good. But great story about Chattanooga and Oak Ridge. 2 great cities. I used to go to Chamber of Commerce meetings in Hamilton County when I was just new in Congress, in my infancy. And I'd be saying, wow, Oak Ridge this, Oak Ridge that. And I got tremendous pushback. Why is he talking about Oak Ridge? At that time it was $4 billion of federal investment. Now we've got it up to $7.4 billion, which is great. But why do you love Oak Ridge? And I kept trying to do it. Well, we were starting to take, this was my idea, Chattanoogans up to Oak Ridge. They'd see the lab. They'd see the overlook at Y-12. They'd see the cleanup mission. And it was, gee, this is nice and the like. But then I took a group of Oak Ridgers, including Dr. Zachariah, down to Chattanooga. Right. And they met Chattanooga in the gig city and stuff like that. And they said, we need to partner with this. So then Secretary Moniz came to me and said, we want to get a national lab off of its parochial reservation and do something with the city. And I said, oh my gosh, that's got to be Chattanooga.
Yes.
Because Knoxville, a great city, but not my constituent. Nashville, getting just about everything. I mean, you can't say enough good about our capital city, but it's big, it's growing, and I knew we had to keep this under wraps. There's an Oak Ridge Chattanooga partnership. That means jobs, that means technology, largely working with the lab and the Electric Power Board, EPB. Our municipality in Chattanooga owns the utility, EPB. So we were like one of the first gig cities, and that has just produced so many great relationships. So the people of Oak Ridge and the people of Chattanooga are now getting along very well. What does that mean for me? I walk into a Chattanooga Chamber of Commerce meeting with my good friend Senator Haggerty, and I sit there and they talk about the Chattanooga Oak Ridge Partnership. So important.
Yes. Let's take a break, guys. We're going to take a short break with some important organizations, some public service announcements, and we'll be right back.
Unlike other health concerns, mental illness is not always easy to see.
DEPR.
Mental illness doesn't show up on a scale.
Bipolar?
Sorting out a mental health concern takes professional diagnosis and treatment.
Anxiety. I thought so.
If you or a loved one has a mental health concern, don't go it alone. For 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, call 1-800-662-HELP. Learn more at samhsa.gov/support.
What if one day you went to your secret hiding place and instead of what you came for, you found this? What would you do? The truth is, all drug use comes with risk. Before drugs take their toll on you and your family, know that there is help. You can quit. If you or someone you love is struggling with drug use, call 1-800-662-HELP for 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, or go to samhsa.gov/know-the-risks.
Hello, I'm District Attorney General Dave Clark. My fellow DAs and I successfully fought for new elder abuse laws and procedures that have police departments and agencies using improved tools to protect our seniors. Victims of elder abuse are often unable to recognize or report abuse themselves. They need your voice. If you suspect abuse, contact local law enforcement or adult protective services. Let's work together to protect our seniors.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. Beware of telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you. Callers threatening you with arrest or other legal action and demanding money are not from us. If you receive a call like this, hang up, do not provide them with any form of payment or information. Report the call at oig.ssa.gov.
Welcome back to our discussion with Congressman Chuck Fleischmann. We're talking about energy and its impact on the region, Oak Ridge, Chattanooga specifically, and other things. I want to ask a question. You talk about funding going up and different things, and let's be fair, and Democrats and Republicans, which are about half and half in each Senate and things, close anyway.
Yes.
So
Yes.
the question comes down to, how do they see what happens, like in the Senate? We don't have 50-50 nor we have 51-49, so they get to apportion committees the way they want, just like you guys now get to apportion committees the way you want in the House. How does each leadership in each party look at the energy mission, and are there differences, and how does that impact us all?
It's an excellent question. There's some common ground. There are some differences. Some of those differences are within the partisan caucuses of each group, but there's also a lot of common agreement and disagreement. So not every dispute in the energy area is partisan, and not every common ground is partisan as well. And let me try to be specific about that. Most Republicans, including myself, understand the importance of fossil fuel energy.
Oh, here we go.
That's oil, which is abundant in the United States. That's coal, which is abundant in the United States. That's natural gas, which is overabundant in the United States. And we need those.
Absolutely.
Now, Democrats have a problem with that by and large. But now, where there is common ground, most Republicans and Democrats are, excuse the pun, warm to clean energy. Solar, wind, tidal, geothermal. And nuclear, okay?
Sure.
Fascinating, though. Nuclear fission energy, and I'm really one of the big leaders in Congress on that. I'm going to chair 5 nuclear caucuses.
Is fission and fusion in competition?
Yes.
Oh, you're on both caucuses.
In a way, but I like them both. And
Okay.
this is where there's that interesting divide. I will get about half of the progressives and Democrats when we do fission events. I'll get just about every Republican. Okay, so on nuclear fission, that's traditional nuclear power, which was what TVA
One goes out, one goes in, right?
That's
Fusion,
exactly.
that's right. Like chemistry class.
You're splitting. Okay, it's a
And
fission.
the other one we're
releasing.
bombarding. Okay.
Okay, now fusion is not there yet. Okay, but interesting. All of the progressives and all the Democrats love fusion. Okay.
Why would that be?
Well, because it's totally theoretically 100% pure, clean energy. Because what you're doing is you're fusing. It's hydrogen based. I've got one of the best tutors for me on fusion at Oak Ridge National Laboratory. So they did a fusion tutorial for me. So, but we're not there yet. But we had a big milestone about 2 weeks ago. And let me just try to put fusion in perspective. Fission is here now. Fission works. And it is right now at least the short-term and mid-term solution to nuclear.
Works for what? What do we, for nuclear energy?
It's proven. It's a proven technology.
To provide,
energy.
Bring it down to my level and the viewers' level. Oh,
Okay.
just energy, just like heating, electric, bomb building, whatever.
All of the above.
Okay.
It works. It's a proven technology. TVA has nuclear power plants right here in our regions. It's
Fission-based.
Fission-based. It works. There's probably about 95 plants left around the United States. Some places have decided to close them. I think that's a mistake. But there's a whole new generation of nuclear
Is there more
power
waste
plants
with
coming.
fission?
Yes.
More cleanup? Whatever.
Well, when we say spent nuclear fuel, I'm going
That's
to
what I mean.
euphemize
Okay,
a little bit
okay.
because technically
We save that, though, don't we?
well, we should recycle it in
Yes,
America and
yes.
reprocess
The
it
French
in
do
America.
that,
The
right?
French do that. The Russians do that. Some other countries do as well. We made a decision, sadly, I think under President Carter, not to reprocess nuclear waste. So what happens is we end up with the spent nuclear fuel having to be stored. 95% of that could be reclaimed. But having said that, the new generation of nuclear power plants are these smaller, easier to operate. You can go down and look at Watts Bar and Sequoia and see a big nuclear power plant. Vogtle, Georgia is building one, okay? Actually 2 down there, 2. But the nuclear power plants that we're going to look in the future are going to be smaller. You could do it in the size of this building, very small, produce less power, more efficient, easier to build, cleaner, and the like. So it's a proven technology. Fusion. The problem with fusion has always been, and that's what actually goes on in the sun. So if we want to break that down, you look at our great sun.
Yeah.
Our sun, it's fusion. Okay, so you're putting together at very high temperatures for the process of gaining basically clean energy, which you've got. Up until about 2 weeks ago, we were never able to get more energy in than more energy out. What I mean by that is you put 1.0 worth of energy in,
That's a balance sheet.
it'd be at 0.7. So you're losing.
You don't want a negative impact. That's right.
Exactly, and that's what
It's
we
a
had.
waste of money.
Last week we had an experiment that was quantifiable at another lab, out of the weapons lab, that basically got us to about 1.5, 1.7.
At what point does it become economically feasible?
1.1 technically,
Okay.
okay, because you're putting more in than not. Now, having said that, before we get this commercially ready, fission is ready, willing, and able to go, being developed all over the world. Our friends, our foes, everybody. It's a very competitive venue. And America's got to get more competitive. The President of Egypt told me last week, he said, Congressman, I put out bids. The Chinese bid, the South Koreans bid, the Russians bid. Guess what? The Americans didn't even bid. So we've got to get there, and we can get there. We've got a lot of good companies in that realm, but we've got to pick up our game. Fusion commercially is probably 10 to 15 years away, but we finally have a discernible, identifiable
Methodology.
experiment that has produced more energy coming out than going in. And what I've got, my job is to get more Republicans warm to
board.
fusion. Yes, because they're saying, well, Chuck, 30 years ago we were talking about fusion. That is true. Now it is viable. Very interesting. So I get about half the progressives on fission, all the Republicans, not many Republicans on fusion, and all the Dems. So I'm going to be the Republican leader in the fusion caucus, as well as 5 fission caucuses.
That's going to end up being a psychotic experience, isn't it, Steve?
Indeed.
But you're going to be on both sides, and I get that, and that's good. So
Yeah.
we have both of that. We have those working. Now let's move on to what I call the boiler room of energy and water here, and that is the Y12 plant. Love the
Sure.
Y12. Okay, we got a great partner in CNS, does so much for the community. And I'm not trying to pick on the other players. I think UCOR does a lot.
They're all
But
good.
They're all good, but CNS stands out for me in terms of charitable giving, being involved in management. So, and that matters. I mean, we used to joke when we were kids that Eastman Kodak built the stadium, took care of Kingsport,
Yep.
and Union Carbide went home on Friday night. You know what I mean? It's just a different world. I mean, I think that those people being viable and helping us makes a difference in our community. I mean, I look at,
Well, you're
I've
right.
had the Children's Museum on, I have the zoo, the Ponderosas, I have all these different places. The medical free clinic was on. Excellent, great opportunity out here. And then you went to the event in Chattanooga a couple weeks ago. What was it you did? It was a nonprofit, big event you did, nonprofit
I
downtown.
do so many.
Yeah, you do a lot, but this
the
one was
Reason Across America. Which one?
No. This was. We'll figure it out in the break.
We'll figure it out. I do so much on the philanthropic side because just to be out, because when you have corporate and individual philanthropists, people are giving of their treasure and of their surplus back to the community. You're absolutely right. CNS and the other contractors do that very well right here in Oak Ridge, and the community directly benefits from it. Let's talk about Y12, but you can't talk about Y12 without talking about UPF coming right behind it. Y12, the plant, the workers have historically done a fantastic job. These are the men and women who keep our nation's nuclear arsenal safe, strong, and up to date. There's a sister plant in Texas, in Pantex, that does the primaries on nuclear weapons.
Okay.
We do these secondaries here and have done that well for years. But every time the customer, the Department of Energy through NNSA, has stepped up and said, we need Oak Ridge to come through, Y12 has done it. And this is an older facility. It's been there for years. So we are building the uranium processing facility, the UPF, that is going on now. It's a modular, as opposed to one big box type of design. It is really going to be the answer to our future. We were hoping to get this done by the end of 2024. That's not going to happen now. It's probably
let's be
going to
fair to everybody.
26. COVID.
COVID.
It was COVID. And supply chain directed
That's
COVID.
the worst part of it.
Because the workforce showed up. The hard-working men and women showed up. I don't think they missed a day of work due to COVID.
I was
They did
talking
such
to
a
Rick
good job.
Chin the other day, our good friend Rick Chin.
What a
He was
great
talking about
guy.
electrical panels.
Yeah.
Year delivery, year out to get
Yes.
proper way. I mean, just the supply chain is incredible.
Supply chain, inflation, but we will get it done. So the cost is going to go up. The completion date's going to get pushed back. All the more reason for Y12 to keep up with what it's doing, and it has.
Yeah, this great management, et cetera. Okay, so let's go. We're still in Washington. Let's talk a little bit about the changes that are coming in the year ahead. I build this show as the year ahead, so in D.C. So we have got, I mean, everybody's 401k is dead. What do they call it?
It's down, yeah.
Down.
Yep.
Okay, yeah. Down's your word. My word is swimming for
Right,
sure.
yeah.
It's bad. So, but I mean, I'm making a joke about basically the economy. We all
Sure.
worried about the economy.
The
We have to
economy's
deal
been
with that.
down, sure.
And that's when you're saving, people are going to work 5 years longer than they planned on working.
right.
So that's an issue for the legislature and everybody to look forward to make policies that benefit everybody. And you've got that. We got all kinds of things in international. Where do we head? First, when we come back after the next break, I want to talk about the logistics of committees. But right now, where is the overall vision?
Sure.
I know Biden has a different vision than, say, a McCarty or a McConnell or someone. But the question going forward is, what are the challenges this year, and how do you work together to get some of those things done?
Well, I've served now for 2 terms of my 12 terms. I'm sorry, my 6 terms in the minority. It's been no fun. The last 2 years in the House, being in the minority in the House, whether you're Republican or Democrat, is abysmal. It's very, very difficult. You lose every vote in committee. You lose just about every vote on the floor. It is tough. The Senate, because it's more of a creature of rules than it is numbers. It is numbers, but it's rules too. You can get a little bit more done in the minority. I'm going to be in the majority, and this is so important for our viewers. Right. I will be what we call a cardinal, a subcommittee chairman on appropriations. That is so important, meaning that I will be writing either the energy and water bill or the labor, education,
Okay,
health,
let's stop
and
there.
human services
Writing. People don't understand
Sure.
what that means. You've got to bring all the elements of the bill together.
Sure. The Appropriations Committee, and I do want to talk about where we're going to try to go, but since we're on this topic now, the Appropriation Committee in the House has 12 subcommittees. When you're in the majority, you're supposed to serve on 3. In the minority, you're supposed to serve on 2. Because I'm a workaholic and I work so well with everybody, I'm on 3. In the minority, I've been on 3. So I've never stopped working and trying to get things done, and we've gotten some things done.
And you've built some good relationships with secretaries and the Democrats in certain areas to get things done.
I'm very pragmatic.
Yeah.
I keep an open door policy. They know I'm a conservative Republican, but I have cabinet secretaries come down to my office and sit with me. They're always treated with respect and kindness. Why? Because I represent people like you and your lovely wife Saber and your son Caleb in the 3rd District of Tennessee. I want people to know that when I'm representing them, I'm going to be civil, I'm going to be courteous, I'm going to represent them the way they want. I do not want to be an embarrassment to the people I represent, whether they agree with me or disagree with me. And I hear that all the time.
And you get more done when you work together. I mean, just get
If
more
you're
done.
nice, that's right. I mean, Secretary Walsh comes by, and he's mayor of Boston. He likes the Red Sox and the
Yeah.
Patriots.
Oh,
I
good
tease
man.
him. Yeah, I
Yeah.
tease him all the time about it. But when we sit down and we talk about stopping a rail strike, we work together. Okay, I voted to stop the rail strike, and I think that was important for this country, and we worked together on some things. So
Yeah, when you got supply chain problems,
that's exactly
that is
right.
something you need.
And
That's
manufacturers calling me, telling me they've got 2 days of supply, and then they shut down. You've got to do that for the good of the country.
Absolutely right.
So-
Okay, Chandler, it's back to you. Let's take a 2 or 3 minute break, and we'll come back and talk more about Congress.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. A My Social Security account allows you to access your earnings history and benefits information, request a replacement Social Security card, get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
This is my husband, Alex Hussey. Alex is about 2 weeks away from coming home.
I was playing man on foot patrol and I stepped on the bomb. Lost my legs and my left hand in an explosion.
And he suffered a severe traumatic brain injury.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
There are so many mountains to climb, and we do it together.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories great and small.
To watch Alex take on this mountain, that's what this is all about.
DAV provides a lifetime of support to veterans of every generation, helping more than 1 million veterans each year.
Alex has conquered this mountain. That's something he won't forget.
With the right support, there are no limits.
Look at that smile! You did it!
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won.
This has meant so much.
Thank you, DAV.
Alex Hussey, thank you for your service. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
We should never lose sight of our health. To keep moving forward, let's not forget everything we've learned. Limit the salty food options. Make your own daily exercise routine. And always receive regular checkups. More than anything, we have learned how important these small steps can make a big difference. So we can all continue to move forward together.
Hello, I'm District Attorney General Dave Clark. My fellow DAs and I successfully fought for new elder abuse laws and procedures that have police departments and agencies using improved tools to protect our seniors. Victims of elder abuse are often unable to recognize or report abuse themselves. They need your voice. If you suspect abuse, contact local law enforcement or adult protective services. Let's work together to protect our seniors.
Welcome back. We're talking with Congressman Chuck Fleischmann about all things D.C. and the 3rd Congressional District. Where's our country going? What's it doing? What do we need to change? And we're talking right now about Democrats and Republicans working together in the breakdowns of the committees. Go from a more polite, congenial approach to a competitive approach. You know, I tell people all the time, we've had 3 speakers in your term.
Yes.
You know, we had Speaker Boehner, who I liked a great deal, Speaker Ryan, who I respected, now Speaker McCarty from California, and and they've been minority. Democrats have had 1 speaker.
They've had one.
And let's say this about her.
Oh.
She holds her team together.
She has look.
I'm not talking about policy. Nobody likes her policy.
Okay, no. Well, the Dems do. She's hurt the country.
Oh, no question.
Her policies have hurt the country. Her policies have hurt the House. But she's been one of the most effective speakers I have ever seen.
In terms of organizing, yeah.
Oh my gosh!
They never wavered. They had a 5-person advantage. They never wavered.
Democrats are a much more well-disciplined lot than we are.
And 30 years ago it was the opposite.
Yeah,
I mean, we were all. You know, I mean, you could count our Republicans together, and Democrats would be all over the place. Southern Democrats, civil rights issues, others. You'd have people all over the map. Now the Democrats are just all together. And the Republicans, amazing. We have freedom caucuses, we have energy caucus, we have people all over the map. And when you've got a 5 or 6, we were hoping for a 30 margin. We got a 9 margin, 222 to 213.
Well, actually, yeah, but we're going to be up by 5. We've got 5 votes to play with. I believe.
Yeah, okay. The advantage is 9, but there's 5 in there.
That's right. We've got to get to 218 on any vote, but it's going to be tough. Yeah, on the election, it was underwhelming. Pelosi, Schumer, and Biden have been a disaster for this country.
No question.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. I went to the White House the other day. I saw the president. Again, I'm always going to be respectful. I'm always going to be kind, and the like. So he and Dr. Biden, but be that as it may, Pelosi was so efficient in getting done these things, but it has hurt. I mean, we have situations now where staff members make more than members of Congress. And I mean, that's unbelievable. The rules that have been put in, and we're stuck with that. And some of the things that we should have addressed. This January 6th committee infuriated me. They just came out with their findings. I mean, just to me, a sheer outrage against our former president, what they're trying to do.
And I think it's the thing we need to say. Look, it was a tragedy. We're not endorsing anything that happened on January 6th.
No, I was there. It was terrible. But my gosh, this was just political chicanery, and I feel very strong about that. As a lawyer, they're trying to say that evidence. Nobody was cross-examined. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah,
as a lawyer, I'm just appalled by what went on. But having said that, and again, Boehner and Ryan, I served under them, but from an efficiency, get it done and get your votes in, they are a much better disciplined lot. Now, let me tell you about this.
That's not on our speakers. It's not on our speakers. They're reflecting the group. Boehner, I kind of like Speaker Boehner.
Yeah, Boehner always kept his word. The reason I'm on appropriations is because of John Boehner. I mean, he came to me, Senator Alexander said we need to get a Tennessean, largely for Oak Ridge, on appropriations. And we got it done. But it's... the Democrats do not term limit internally, and they just voted not to do that again. Let me kind of explain that.
Okay.
Let's say next Congress, I'm the chairman of the Energy and Water Subcommittee on Appropriations, very good chance, or the Labor, Education, Health, and Human Services. I'm a cardinal. I could be the best in the world.
12 cardinals, right?
12 cardinals.
So out of 200 and 222, you're one of the senior 12.
I will be one of them. That's for sure. We just don't know where. And I'll sit on 2 other.
And the cardinals are reference to the Catholic Church, which is basically has a structure that says,
yes,
that basically,
yes.
Each rank is a little bit different from committees, et cetera. So.
That's right. In layperson's terms, it's a subcommittee chairmanship on appropriations. Right. It's unique to the Appropriations Committee, probably the most powerful committee in Congress, and thank goodness I'm in Tennessee in the House.
Yes, thank God.
Having said that, I can do the best job or the worst job in that role. I can only stay there 3 terms. Then I've got to move. I've got to lateral to another subcommittee. Now, I can drive up to be full committee chairman someday, but Republicans move people around. We internally term limit. Democrats don't. What does that mean? That means there's less mobility in their party, but the chairman of their committees and subcommittees know darn well, discipline, discipline, discipline. You like your position, you want to stay there 30 years, boom, you will vote and act accordingly. And they get discipline from that. Just a completely different structure and view. And the Democrats just had a vote in their caucus to keep their current situation. They did not take on term limits. We have had a vote to keep our term limits in place. So that's where we are.
Minus a waiver or two.
Minus a waiver. Good. I'm so glad you talk about that. And being fair, as you always are, Republicans have an opportunity to get a waiver. There are 3 members who are senior to me right now who are operating on a waiver. What is a waiver? You do your 3 years, you can get another 2 years.
6 years, 3 terms, and then you can get another
get another term. Now, some of these folks were trying for double waivers, and I nipped that in the bud. Yeah. I said enough's enough. It's time for Chuck to move up.
Yeah, you did. I mean,
yes.
It's been and it continues to be. I mean, I read the articles, from the Washington Post, the Politico.
The national press has said Fleischmann's on the move up. We don't know where he's going to go, but I'm very thankful for that.
I use the language all the time, and not just politically, but within the culture. You're a producer, that you basically work night and day. You're very intelligent. You get things done. You sit on all these fusion committees. You explain the process well. You're just a kid from Philly and Queens, right? I mean, but you've learned all the processes over the years, and you've done a great job. And it hasn't been all politics. It's been work, and you've kept it going.
I'm so glad you raised that, Alan. And whether your watchers here vote for me, support me, or not, the one thing that we see consistently, they know I'm honest. They know I work hard. I work tirelessly.
No question.
I immerse myself in the policy and policies. That's just not on the energy and water side. It's on the fiscal side with what's going on in the economy and the Federal Reserve. I try to master policy, understand it so that I can vote the best way I can. And it's interesting. I'm kind of rare in that usually you have members that are good on the political side or the policy side. I enjoy both. And I'm a very partisan Republican. I say that in a very positive way. I want my team to win. But after we win and you get a group of people there, we have got to figure out a way to govern. So, yes, I'm a conservative Republican, but I am an appropriator. So I want to make sure that my state, specifically my district, and Anderson and Roane counties and the surrounding counties get their fair share of the federal allotment dollars, because if we don't take them, they're going to go elsewhere.
Tell me a little bit about other subjects besides that. Tell me a little bit about how is our Second Amendment rights and other issues that are important to our constituents here, Democrat and Republican, rural people, the Morgan County, Roane County. You take out the urban areas, and we have a real dichotomy here in Anderson County. Obviously, I work in the area, but we have Clinton in the county, which is basically 2/3 of the county, voting 80% Republican, 70%. Then you get into Oak Ridge, and it's probably 50-50 to 55-45 Democrats. So, and that's a shift back. I mean, it was kind of shifting Republican even in Oak Ridge, but I think the Democratic Party got energized. And so my question to you is, how do you see that all playing out in terms of in demographics and Second Amendment? What are the most important issues to the constituents you visit? They don't know anything about energy. In their daily lives, what's the most important thing?
Okay, well, I have been one of the strongest supporters of the Second Amendment in Congress.
Yes.
And of course, that plays very well in the district.
Oh, no question.
Okay. Particularly, but not exclusively, in the rural areas. I will go into some of my more rural counties, and I get a lot of support for that. So I've been very steadfast. Our Second Amendment rights are safe, but when we think about our constitutional rights under the Bill of Rights, we've got to always be vigilant and diligent in protecting them. So we need to do that obviously through the courts. We need to do that by electing people who support the Second Amendment, such as myself, and we see that in the vote. To deal with your second issue, I've always been very privileged that I've carried the city of Oak Ridge, which is a traditionally Democratic city.
Yep.
And I'm a Republican who outperforms other Republicans generally
Still this year?
in the city. And I carried it again this year. And I think that's for a lot of reasons. You and I travel a lot around Oak Ridge together. We eat together.
Sure.
We visit together.
You're very busy.
St. Mary's is great. And just a great community.
Yeah.
Fall Festival, all that. When I speak with people, I will have people who are not my primary voters come up to me and say, gosh, Congressman, I disagree with a lot of your votes on this, but but you work so hard, you get it done for our region. I've had Democratic elected officials said I've done more for the city of Oak Ridge than anybody in decades, and that could be true. So they'll bite the bullet and vote for me. And then of course the Republicans, we go through the roof, get well over 90% of that vote there because I vote the way the Republicans really want, and I embrace that conservative ethos, that worldview, and I embody that in my service. So we're kind of getting the best of both worlds. But to your third point, we've seen a greater polarization, not only in Oak Ridge, but around the district. And what has happened is, candidly, Dems have gone to their corner and Republicans have gone to their corner and largely stayed there. Now, I have been a longtime supporter of President Trump. He endorsed me and the like. That cost me with some moderate Republicans.
Sure.
It really did, okay? And a lot of Democrats said, gee whiz. I had a Democrat the other day come up to me and just said, why do you like this guy so much? I said, look, he did an outstanding job, in my view, as president. And I believe that, and I served with him and the like. And we can talk about that or not, but people have gone to their corners, and we're seeing that polarization, that middle, where I think a lot of Americans are. I mean, let's face it.
No question.
I'm pro-life, I'm pro-gun, I'm pro-defense, pro-nuclear. Well, not every person in the district is with me on every issue, and I realize that. But if they're with you with the majority of the issues, and they know you're working hard and doing these things, you're going to get the vast majority of those votes.
I have spent the last 30 days with a couple of my employees and other people. I have spent the day studying the voter trends and surveying and trying to figure out what's going on.
Well,
I can
you do that well. And for our listeners, he's modest. He studies data, he polls well, and then when he shares that with his constituents, that is so critically important. You've got to know where you are. So please,
I appreciate the comment.
Underestimate
let me say this. It's become a gender battle in the polls. I'm just telling you, it's not this guy aged young here and there. It's strictly a fact. I had women, my wife ran for county commission, got a seat.
And won.
And I had won. And I had women who lived 3 houses down from me that grew up with me, who would do anything in the world. We're all family, on the street, up on the circle. And they'd come to me and say, I love you. I love your family. Alan, I would do anything in the world for you and your family, but I will never vote. I cannot vote for your wife. I will never vote for a Republican as long as I live. And so interviewing 20, 30 of those people and then getting the statistical data done, there's a big move, and this is leading to a question. There's a big move among suburban women, which is nationally publicly known, and other women in other areas to basically reject the health care plans of Republicans as being too strict, and education in Nashville as being local control versus state control. So I think that what we have is we have women between the ages of 21 and 55, and all women, health care, but on education with kids. I think, and they're not a majority. They're just 90% of them work together, whereas we're all over the map with our majority. I think unless Republicans can reach out to women in the next cycle, and that doesn't mean change our perspective maybe, but maybe come to some kind of agreements on some education issues and other things. And I'm not sure we're not in the right as Republicans. I just think it's a political problem. And I don't think that we're going to win Wisconsin or Michigan or Colorado or Virginia or Georgia until we address those issues. Now, maybe they're unaddressable. I don't know.
Well, let me tell you what I think the forensics show. Okay. We actually, as a party, did very well this time with suburban educated women, much better than we did.
Where?
In
nationally?
Nationally.
Okay.
But not not great, but better than we did in 2020.
Which is understandable.
We did better with younger voters, which was a surprise. We didn't win them, but we didn't lose them by the margins that we lost in 2020. And we generally did a little bit less better with senior citizens, which we thought would have stayed at home. And I think, sadly,
Well, there's more traditional Dems in that group.
Yes, but I think Democrats did a disingenuous but a better job scaring the seniors, that Republicans were going to come in and tinker with Social Security and Medicare. It was not going to happen, but they got that rhetoric out there, and it sticks. If you say it loud enough, long enough, sadly, in our business, it sticks. Let me tell you where I think things are going to fall in terms of the demographics. We can talk about the social issues, we can talk about the economic issues, but what we saw here is probably one of the worst economies with one of the worst presidents, a porous border, gas prices were through the roof, supply chain issues. I thought we were poised for
20 to 30,
Republican landslides, 20 to 30 seats in the House, and probably 4 or 5 in the Senate. That didn't happen. And I'll tell you why. When we sat down and we looked at it, and this is so important, in our state, the great state of Tennessee, the way we vote is secure, it's safe, it's verifiable.
Number one in the nation. I got these little banners hanging at every election.
One person, one vote, you show up, you make sure that person can vote, you can early vote, but you've got to go through a proper process, and Republicans and Democrats both participate in this at the electoral level, so with the Election Commission. Yes. So it's not just one party saying that. Different states, progressives have figured out how to win in different states, and this shocks people when I tell them that. First of all, in some municipal elections, they will let illegal aliens vote. I think that's outrageous. I think that's wrong, and that should be stricken down. But we've got illegal aliens, non-citizens, voting in certain city elections. That's outrageous to me. That's separate and aside. Let's talk about the legal structure in which Republicans did not do very well. Mm-hmm. States with 100% mail-in ballot voting, okay?
Arizona.
We're getting killed. That's right. Arizona, Oregon. Now, so you've got mail-in voting, Michigan, all mail-in voting. That, we've got to figure that out.
What does that mean in Michigan? I understand.
Okay.
I can't go to a poll and vote in
That's
Michigan?
correct. 100% mail-in ballot.
They control the game.
No, I don't know if Michigan's 100%. They may vote day of as well. I think they vote day of as well.
Okay.
But they do that. But Oregon and many of the states have gone that.
I think Arizona's all mail-in.
No, because they had some on election day. They'll take them up. They'll take mail-ins up until
Pennsylvania doesn't have early voting.
They changed it this time.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they did. And if you recall, that's why they were taking some of those ballots, and they had some Supreme Court initiatives. But let's just say X. Whether it's all mail-in, early vote, and the like. Democrats have mastered that better than we have. I'll give you a very clear example. We needed to win that Herschel Walker race in Georgia for a lot of reasons. We lost it, and we lost it by a wide margin. Herschel Walker got 66% of the vote on election day. Mm-hmm. He beat Warnock seriously, just buried him on election day.
But you know what?
Early vote we lost overwhelmingly.
Yeah, but I blame us for that.
Yes.
I got a call from Georgia 2 years ago. Alan, they're in the nursing homes. They're registering people. They're getting massive numbers of votes. And I would answer and say, do you know where the nursing homes are? And they said, yeah. I said, well, get out there and register your people. Vote your people. We refuse to participate in these things, and we're getting caught.
Yes.
And that's my problem with it. My problem with it is we don't want to early vote because of the integrity of the election. It's better if we vote on election day. We're losing because I don't care how many people you got. Emergencies come up on election day. Your child's sick, something else happens, you don't vote.
You don't feel well. You go there and there's a line around the corner. Yeah. Gee whiz, I don't know if I'll do it.
You got 14 days.
There's no reason not to vote early. I beg Republicans to go out and vote early.
Got to go.
But
get it in.
But let me talk with you about something that's even more disturbing to me. Weighted voting, and I'll be specific. Alaska, Maine, I believe Massachusetts now. In other states have gone
what that is.
Weighted voting. Okay. If I run against Meg Gorman, as I did, and 2 independents in the 3rd District of Tennessee, and somebody goes in and they vote for Congress, they vote for Chuck Fleischmann, okay? 68.5% of the people voted for me, 30% voted for her, and maybe 1% voted for the independents. Okay, end of story. I win, she loses. Now, if this were Maine, you would go in there and you would say, okay, I'm going to vote. 68% of the people voted for Chuck Fleischmann on the first ballot, but they can vote for a 2nd and 3rd and 4th place candidate. So they would vote for Chuck Fleischmann first.
You're voting against yourself. It's like Oak Ridge City Council.
And they get 2nd and 3rd. You get points for 2nd and 3rd.
Oh, just like Oak Ridge City Council. The problem in Oak Ridge City Council, we got 4 people running for 5 people running for 4 spots. Well, it doesn't do any good because the guy that wins, the guy that loses, or the person who loses, is the person who didn't have enough default votes. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
In other words, you get in there. The weighted voting is terrible. I mean, it's just a horrible way to do
it is, but it has really helped progressives win. I have a friend. His name is Bruce Poliquin. He lost in Maine this time. The time before, he had more popular votes. He was the Chuck Fleischmann beating the Meg Gorman, and the Meg Gorman went to Congress. The Democrat went with fewer first-place votes.
That's crazy.
And it is crazy, and it's wrong, but it's legal in these states. So my message to everyone is, why did Republicans not do as well? Different states, every state has the right to determine the way it wants to vote, count votes, tally votes, as long as it's legal and the like. It can be early voting, it can be with or without ID. I think you need an ID. But they have figured it out, whether it was in Arizona, whether it was in Washington State, how to basic ballot harvesting. Again, legal. These are not, it upsets me as a conservative Republican, as a citizen, but they're winning now and doing a better job. So Republicans are going to have to go out and basically say, we've got to figure out state by state, not only in Tennessee and Alabama, where the states where we do well, how to win. We've got to figure out how to go win in New Hampshire. We were supposed to pick up seats all over New Hampshire. We got wiped out.
Yeah, we've got to compete, not complain. That's what I tell people.
That's right.
We've got to compete, not complain.
Yep.
I mean, it doesn't matter what the situation is. You've got to get out there and do it. And we're going to take another break, Chandler. So we're going to take a couple, 3 minutes, and we're going to come back. Thank you, Chandler.
Unlike other health concerns, mental illness is not always easy to see.
D-E-P-R.
Mental illness doesn't show up on a scale.
Bipolar?
Sorting out a mental health concern takes professional diagnosis and treatment.
Anxiety. I thought so.
If you or a loved one has a mental health concern, don't go it alone. For 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, call 1-800-662-HELP. Learn more at samhsa.gov/support.
What if one day you went to your secret hiding place, and instead of what you came for, you found this? What would you do? The truth is, all drug use comes with risk. Before drugs take their toll on you and your family, know that there is help. You can quit. If you or someone you love is struggling with drug use, call 1-800-662-HELP for 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral, or go to samhsa.gov/know-the-risks.
Hello, I'm District Attorney General Dave Clark. My fellow DAs and I successfully fought for new elder abuse laws and procedures that have police departments and agencies using improved tools to protect our seniors. Victims of elder abuse are often unable to recognize or report abuse themselves. They need your voice. If you suspect abuse, contact local law enforcement or adult protective services. Let's work together to protect our seniors.
I'm Andrew Saul, Commissioner of Social Security. Beware of telephone scammers pretending to be government employees. Real Social Security employees will never threaten you. Callers threatening you with arrest or other legal action and demanding money are not from us. If you receive a call like this, hang up, do not provide them with any form of payment or information. Report the call at oig.ssa.gov.
Welcome back. We've been talking about politics, energy, all kinds of things in Washington. One thing in our district that's very important to us is federal funding for education. And Chuck's on the committee with labor and health and education and welfare, that he has to basically, he has a lot of role in the universities and what happens with those in the bills. Even though Knoxville's not in your district, you are a UT Law graduate, a friend of Randy Boyd's.
Yes.
You love orange.
I bleed orange. When I was a 20-year-old kid, just graduated from University of Illinois, Phi Beta Kappa, all these accolades and the like. They sat down with me at their law school and they said, nope, we're not going to take you. We don't think you'll make much of a lawyer, and too bad, so sad. I got a call after the deadline in about late July. And this was
in September.
Yes, starting school in August, late August, back then.
Yeah.
Law school, because it wasn't the university. And 1983, and they said, would you come down and visit with us? And the University of Tennessee at Knoxville College of Law said, we think you may have some potential.
Who's the first one that said you didn't have potential?
University of Illinois.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, my alma mater. 4.88 on a 5.0 scale, Phi Beta Kappa, magna cum laude, wrote the honors thesis, worked 2 jobs, and actually...
they just knew that you were going to be a Republican, and that's Illinois. They're trying to block your success.
Well, back then, Illinois was a Republican and Tennessee was Democratic.
Yeah, that's true.
That was kind of interesting. Well, not all Democratic. I think Lamar was governor. So I came down and got the break of a lifetime. I was 20 years old in a class that the nearest to me was 22, maybe 23. So I was the baby of the class. I was young. I was ambitious. And I thought I would do 3 years there and go up and practice law in New York, Philadelphia, and Chicago and run for office. But God had a different plan. And married my wife, who was from Chattanooga.
Got a law degree, too.
Got a law degree. She was in my class.
Yes.
And went down there. So UT gave me really the real opportunity of a lifetime. That was my law school of last resorts, my only law school. I got waitlisted at Georgetown, but I got left there.
Well, the rumors were they needed some out-of-state people to make their quotas.
They did.
So they were going to give you
They did. I was literally, the dean, I remember Dean Wells looked at me and I said, well, why do you want me so bad? And I said, look, you've got great credentials and the like, but we needed to fill our out-of-state quota. We didn't have as many people to do that. Yeah. Wow. So they took me late and it worked out very well. And then at 23, of course, I got married, passed the bar, opened up my own law firm, and thank God never looked back. But the point is the University of Tennessee at Knoxville and its system is one of the best in the country, bar none. Fortunately, we co-manage the national lab, ORNL here, with a company named Battelle out of Ohio. Battelle runs about 11 labs nationally, but it's a great university system, whatever the discipline. And yes, there's a lot of state funding, obviously, for the university system. The majority of it comes from the state of Tennessee, from the legislature. But to the extent that we have a federal role, we've got some really good schools in Tennessee. We've got, obviously, the University of Tennessee system. Another school that's doing very well is Tennessee Tech. Smaller school in Cookeville, but my gosh, they're going to get a nuclear engineering program back now, not to compete with UT, but just to kind of supplement that. They're just doing tremendous things. So I've been able to help a lot of our institutions. Talk to the chairman of the board of MTSU.
Yeah.
That's your alma mater.
It is my alma mater.
Gee whiz.
Played a year of basketball down there, and then I went into politics. I should have stayed in basketball.
You were a great basketball player. But I talked to their president the other day, and he said, Chuck, we need your help. I said, I'm going to come over there and talk with you. I will help you. A big school.
Huge.
Great
when I was
aviation
there,
program.
it was 8 or 9,000 and 10,000. Now it's 30.
Yep.
Kind of like Illinois. Springfield, that was the biggest college in the country at one time.
Over Rutherford County, over in Murfreesboro. But even the University of Memphis is reaching out to me and saying, look, where can we find a niche? So my message to the higher education institutions is find something that no one else in the state is doing, okay? Or if they're doing it, do it in a different area, and then go out and excel and build there.
That's a Charlie Irvin statement there.
Is it really?
Charlie always says, find your niche and do it as well as anybody else does.
There you go. And I
don't
think
don't try to get in a diverse thought. He said, just get it done.
Yep.
Find the one thing you want to be good at and be good at that.
What a great asset to Oak Ridge he has been. Yeah. He came here. I remember his dear mother. You had me go see him.
Yeah, we set up on Easter. Remember me, you, him, and her?
Absolutely. But no matter when Charlie comes into Washington and speak, and he speaks to all groups, he's so good. But he loves Oak Ridge. He talks about his Oak Ridge, his mom, his dad, his wonderful family
his dad
here.
Was brilliant.
Really?
He died in 71. He had a heart attack in his 50s. Wow. But he was one of the leading physicists. He actually developed, when he was at Princeton, when Mr. Ergen and Bill was younger, he actually developed the radar system, the stealth stuff. He did the pioneering research on that. But anyway, UTC's in that system.
UTC's in that system, and
That's
UTC is my alma mater. I always tell you, I'm sorry, UTC is my constituent, UTK is my alma mater, and I always tell them that. So is UT Martin, and then also UT fortunately saw a need over in Lawrenceburg to open up a college, a university branch designated for rural students. Very, very important. So for whatever reason, couldn't leave the rural community, like now they can get a great UT education over there. Having said that, finding what we do well, UTC has done very well. There's formerly the University of Chattanooga, changed in 1969, came into the UT system, so has a lot of backing from the old money in Chattanooga.
If you land on Labor H as the head appropriations, I know you've done a lot for Vanderbilt too, and other places.
Sure.
Or you would be in a major position.
Absolutely. Well,
how many people are on these committees? Give people an idea. Like you have 30 maybe on Labor H, or 40 and 20 over here.
No, probably 20 total.
Oh, wow.
Split between Republicans and Democrats. We're going to get our allocation. The Appropriations Committee is a large committee, probably a 60 some odd members total, Republican and Democrat. We will have the majority now. I will be a chairman. There's no question. The question is where. That's right. And I will get 2 other key subcommittees. Defense is the big one. There's no question about that. But all politics
Labor
are local.
H is second, though.
Labor H is second.
Biggest,
it's a big pot of money, and very important. It's got labor, obviously, that whole portfolio, education we talked about, and health and human services. Tennessee is a leader in health care, so that will help a lot.
It's really interesting. We're one of the most conservative states in the country.
Yes. Thank goodness.
But our community college system is recognized across, even Obama, across the world, as we were the first to offer free education. Then you come back to TennCare, we're probably, whether you're for or against it, we're probably one of the best social medicine systems in the country. So it's interesting that our state, Tennessee, developed all of these advantages. And give Bill Haslam a lot of credit. Great governor.
The idea of the free college that has been paid for by the lottery has worked out very, very well for a lot of folks. They get those 2 years free. Also, what we're seeing is in the high schools now, working with the community colleges, if you have a young man or young lady who has an aptitude, they can actually start doing college work while they're in high school and get a tremendous opportunity. I had to do it the hard way. I went through my tradition. So when I started, I got a law degree by age 23, but I had to double up while I was in there. This eases that pressure. It's a brilliant national model, and it's paid for. I got very upset with President Obama and when he offered this without a real pay for, because it was a dream without a pay for. We had the dream and the pay for in Tennessee, and it's worked.
Yeah, you got to have a plan, a business plan. You can't turn in a business plan without a revenue stream.
Everything's a great idea. We got 1,000 great causes.
Yeah, you got to have a revenue stream. Yeah. That's the way it works.
Yep.
And, you know, my wife is a county commissioner here, and every T has to be crossed, every I. You know, these young commissioners that are coming in are so resilient. I think we had 5 or 6 new ones, but 3 under age 50 and the 4 under.
They're astute. They are good. I tell you, let's talk about a couple of them. Sean Gleason.
Oh,
wow.
City Council, yeah. Oh, wow. He
what
is
an
strong.
impressive.
He's 44, 45. He's got all that.
Marine, self-made man, works hard, and what does he do?
Yeah.
He decides to run and give back. We were at his house the other night.
Nothing
Very
positive
impressed.
about that,
And Miss Mattis over in Clinton.
Yeah,
very
Wendy,
impressive
absolutely.
Lady. Very impressive.
She came
lady.
on City Council, and now they're going to get. But there's younger people coming on. Shelley Vandergriff, our good friend in Andersonville. We've got a lot of people. Denise Palmer and Quinn. We got a lot of people.
What about
on.
Sabra Beauchamp? Now, you know, I was mentioning them all, but Sabra Beauchamp won. I've known your wonderful wife for as long, almost, well, about a day less than I knew you, because I remember when we came up and we met with my oldest son.
She was
over at Applebee's, and Sabra and Alan had to make a decision as to who they were going to support in the Republican primary then. It was a very, very difficult and deep primary.
11 people, yeah.
Yeah. In 2010, there were 11 people, and there were 3 who were going to be real, and the third was an impressive candidate, had no money and didn't have any good guidance. You gave me good guidance.
Still thinking about you, Tim.
Yeah, and I loved him. He was a good guy. I mean, Secret Service, handsome fella, a lot more handsome than me, very articulate, and just was not guided the right way. And Alan was having to grapple with
who could win.
Who could win, and who did they really like? And landed on.
Well, I don't worry about that. That's not within my job decision. I just go the way she points me.
Yes, but Sabra, as Sabra was very strong-willed and vocal in her support for me, and
no question.
and very fortunate. And here now she steps up and she runs and wins. Yeah. And your Anderson County Commission.
But she's just one of several in the county that really stepped in.
Oh, they're good, and I work well with really everybody on it. Not everybody shares my politics, but I tell you what, they come and they visit with me, and we work together.
Yeah. Open door.
Open door policy. If it's good for Anderson County, if it's good for Roane County, if it's good for the city of Oak Ridge, and it's got a plan, I'm going to be there, like we are for our great water plant.
You know, and I think, and I'll be the first to compliment the Anderson County government. In fact, Mayor Frank will be on next week, hopefully. I just think things are progressing. I mean, I think things were getting along. Of course, you know what happened, too. I mean, we used to fight over $20 back in the old days, but today, there's so much money coming in from internet and stimulus and everything else. We got 12 million in the bank.
Sure.
But Sabra will say I always say that Sabra's Ernie Phillips. You didn't know Ernie, but she's but she is one of those people. It doesn't matter whether we have 11 million in the bank or not. The question is, do we need this? Where are we going? I think all of those young people representing that, they want to look at things. You know the old system. We see in rural counties, well, we'll give it to old Billy Bob, and
sure,
that ain't playing anymore.
And that's a good thing. And more importantly, thank God for the great state of Tennessee and our legislators and the job they're doing. Because with this big influx of federal dollars and the like, so many states are going out and creating programs that they're not going to be able to sustain when those dollars go away.
That's right.
This is one-time money, so we're using it so frugally and so wisely.
Sure.
And that's how we stay so fiscally strong and sane and competent in Tennessee.
And we have to balance the budget, don't we?
By state constitution. And I'm so glad you raised that. Well, we're talking about this. People ask me, Chuck, is this constitutional? And I said, well, let's call a timeout. We've got every state has its own constitution. Tennessee has its own constitution. Alabama does, Georgia does, Massachusetts does. So you've got to look at it at the federal level, but then you've got to look at it at the state level. And at the state level, we have, thank God, a prohibition against the state income tax. They can never put that in. And it was a Republican governor that tried to do that about 30 years ago. That was just outrageous, trying to get a state income tax in Tennessee. Would have destroyed our state. We're one of 9 that don't have a state income tax. And guess what? You talk to other states, we want to get rid of our income tax because Tennessee, Texas, Florida, New Hampshire, people are going to these states.
No state income tax in Florida?
No state income tax in Florida.
I didn't know that. Did they used to have one?
Nope.
Huh. DeSantis is pretty impressive.
Very impressive. I know Ron very well. I played baseball with him. I served with him. He
was a congressman once, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. Very talented baseball player. Harvard and Yale guy. He's been a good governor.
I didn't realize he was Ivy League. I didn't know that.
I like him.
Yeah, okay. So we'll take you ready, Chandler? Let's do one more break here. We've got 2 left, but we'll get it right now. We'll come back and talk some more with Congressman Chuck Fleischmann. Thank you.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. A My Social Security account allows you to access your earnings history and benefits information, request a replacement Social Security card, get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
This is my husband, Alex Hussey. Alex is about 2 weeks away from coming home.
I was point man on foot patrol, and I stepped on the bomb. Lost my legs and my left hand in an explosion.
And he suffered a severe traumatic brain injury.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
There are so many mountains to climb, and we do it together.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
To watch Alex take on this mountain, that's what this is all about.
DAV provides a lifetime of support to veterans of every generation, helping more than 1 million veterans each year.
Alex has conquered this mountain. That's something he won't forget.
With the right support, there are no limits.
Look at that smile! You did it!
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won.
This has meant so much.
Thank you, DAV.
Alex Hussey, thank you for your service. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
We should never lose sight of our health. To keep moving forward, let's not forget everything we've learned. Limit the salty food options. Make your own daily exercise routine. And always receive regular checkups. More than anything, we have learned how important these small steps can make a big difference. So we can all continue to move forward together.
Hello, I'm District Attorney General Dave Clark. My fellow DAs and I successfully fought for new elder abuse laws and procedures that have police departments and agencies using improved tools to protect our seniors. Victims of elder abuse are often unable to recognize or report abuse themselves. They need your voice. If you suspect abuse, contact local law enforcement or adult protective services. Let's work together to protect our seniors.
Welcome back to Between the Lines. Every Thursday night at 7, 3 days till Christmas, and we're talking with Congressman Chuck Fleischmann. Chuck, you grew up in Queens when you were young.
Actually, was born in New York City. Never lived there. Lived on Long Island. Queens is on Long Island, but actually lived out in Nassau County.
Right. Moved to Philly.
Moved to Philadelphia. Then had to move back to New York, then move again.
Working class.
My dad was a World War II guy, one eye, no education, worked hard. My mother developed terminal cancer when I was 9 years old, came back when I was 11 and died when I was 13. So I was in New York, Philadelphia, and Chicago public schools. Tough time.
Running for your life.
Yeah. Three elementary schools, 3 middle schools, and 2 high schools. And but
here's my question.
Yes.
What was Christmas like as a kid?
Wonderful.
I was with your mother when you were little.
Yes. My mother was much older when she had me. Dad was an Eisenhower Republican. Mom was a New Deal Democrat. Mom was Catholic. Dad was Episcopal and yes, and the like.
German.
So
Was he German?
yeah, Austro-Hungarian and English.
Okay. All right.
But it
Mom
was
Italian.
Yes, exactly.
Italian. Yeah, I got
all
that.
Italian. So I got raised Roman Catholic, obviously, and then of course I got my dad's politics. But holidays were, putting this in perspective, where people say, well, how do you get your frugal world ethos? This is very interesting, and you probably can relate to that because we're about the same age, and you remember your parents and grandparents.
Okay.
I was an only child born to the children who were the babies in their family from a Depression era. Mom was born in 22, Dad in 25. They were the babies. So my aunts and uncles were all born before them. My grandparents in the century before that, 1896, 1898. No brothers and sisters.
That's my whole thing.
No brothers and sisters. So I grow up around all of these
You're
aunts
an only
and
child.
uncles. Only child, never really exposed to much of any other kids. I show up in kindergarten in 1968. I'll never forget, in Syosset. I had really not interacted with any other kids. And it was like an eye-opening situation for me. So yes, I was very spoiled, had a lot of attention, but all of these wonderful values.
Did you ever go to the Macy Days Parade as a kid?
I did.
That was pretty cool in the 60s.
It was great back then. I will say this: New York went through a very downward spiral in the late 60s and early 70s. It came back. It had a renaissance. I can remember as a kid, the water was dirty, the streets were dirty. I'm very passionate about the environment and keeping things there, and I'm pro-business. And what's nice is that the business community has realized that you can be pro-profit and pro-environment. I was with the Coast Guard. Taking with them one of their boats to the Statue of Liberty just about 3 months ago. New York City Harbor, the water was clean.
Right.
People were fishing in New York Harbor. I never thought I'd see that in my lifetime.
Yeah.
People were kayaking in New York Harbor. So we've done some really great things in this country.
I love New York City.
But that's it. Philadelphia.
But you've been a Tennessee man for 40 years. So
oh my gosh!
You're
Since
Tennessean, born and bred. Yeah, it's 40
I came
years.
here in '83. And at age 20, I'm 60 now, so 40 years
You
here.
can't help where you're born, but you can choose where you live.
And I love Tennessee.
Yeah.
And it's great. 3 sons, born and raised in Tennessee. And one of the things I've always been very fortunate to see with you, Alan, you grew up in Oak Ridge. You went to school here. You have friends here. You played sports here. We'll run into people and you'll say, that guy's an old Democrat. I played baseball or basketball with him. They know you. They like you. Knew his mom and dad. They did this. You've got a great sense of grounded in the community. I never had that. I was always moving all over. So
and I moved all over, but at 40 I came back.
Yeah.
Because my mother was getting older, and I'm comfortable here.
Yes. Oh, very.
I like going places. I like doing stuff. I got friends, and you know me. I got friends in professional sports. I got friends everywhere.
Yep.
But I stay home most of the time.
Yeah.
That's it. Love politics. That's a good thing. Okay, so your Christmas is your most memorable Christmas.
They were all good when I was little. I don't think any stand out. Probably the most memorable one, sadly, was the year that my mother, when she passed away, because it was very difficult on my father. And so that was in '77. So I was just starting high school. Was a freshman in high school.
I thought you were 13.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So yeah.
You were moving ahead. Yeah.
So I was in high school there.
What month did your mother pass away?
April. Palm Sunday, no less, of all things. And as you know, the Easter moves around, the date moves around, but it was on Palm Sunday. We put some palm in the casket with her. But be that as it may, a very interesting time. But Christmases were great. They were festive. Thanksgivings were great, festive. A lot of food, a lot of family, older family. And the like. So everybody really got along very well. And I was doted on. I remember, only kid, so always had a lot of presents under the tree. They were not wealthy people, but we were very well provided for, very well provided for.
Well, they were workers.
Hard work.
And you got, it's interesting. My mother and father were only children.
I didn't know that.
So I always tell everybody in the groups that I'm an only child. And then everybody says, well, you got Jeannie. I said, I forgot about her.
I was going to say, that's one of the best assets in your family. She's
probably the only one.
Yeah. Alan's sister is probably one of the best pediatric dentists in the country.
She's come back from Egypt. Egypt came here. She went to Egypt for 2 years to lecture and do things.
And
so we've been proud of her. She's done a great job.
She's done great.
But my point is, no cousins, no nephews, nothing.
Wow.
I have no horizontal grid. It's all me and my sister.
And it's tough. It's tough.
It's different, but it's also more peaceful probably. Yeah. But Saber's family provides a lot of support there. They've got about 20 or 30 of them.
That's wonderful. I have 3 sons, one of whom has a little boy, and the other 2 are expecting. So the good thing is they all get along. They're very different. You know them all, Chucky, Jamie, Jeffrey, and have all done well in their own right. But the best part is there's no real competition between them. They help each other, all very, very different, different aptitudes, different likes, but they will have children, all of whom will have what I never had, that close relationship. There's a family in Chattanooga. They've done an informal adoption to me. The DeCosmo family, wonderful people.
Yeah.
They have like nine kids, and the brothers and sisters get together, and the cousins get together. And I've been at their family things. It's wonderful. It is just so good to see. I never had that, so hopefully my children will have that.
Yeah, that's a great thing. No question about it. And we didn't have a lot of it, but I've lived around the country with families that do, and stayed with families, with large families, and it's just an amazing thing. We have a lot of great private universities in Tennessee. Lee University, where your youngest son went, great school in your district.
Yep.
We have some others. Vanderbilt Medical, obviously, off the charts. With Cleveland Mayo, there's a few other clinics, but
Tennessee Wesleyan.
Tennessee Wesleyan, yeah,
great school.
Our great accountant Gail Cook went there in Anderson County. We have a lot of friends that went there. It's a great place.
Carson Newman too.
Oh yeah.
I used to represent Carson Newman when I had Jefferson County. Good people. They used to let me go up there.
Great school, isn't it?
Southern Adventist University in Collegedale.
I don't know what that is.
It's in Collegedale.
Oh yeah, on the interstate coming down when you're going to Chattanooga.
Doing incredibly well. So I go over. I love to lecture to the students, and so that the people who are watching, many of whom will agree with me, and a few will probably not politically. When I go in and I lecture to the students, Steve and I went recently over to Southern Adventist and just opened up and talked to the students about American government. And it was interesting. We had a room full of some conservative young people, some progressive young people. When I got done, I thought the progressive kids were going to come up and scout me. They thanked me more than anything. They said, thank you for just coming and explaining the system. We don't agree with you, but it's that communication, it just tears down.
We used to have that, but this changed the world.
Yeah, it does. That's right. It's the old I'm right, you're wrong, and we're going to go to our corners and then come out and duke it out. But just to explain,
they're all programmed too. I mean, I look at shared time. I'm on the phone 3 hours for the day doing different things. Saber's on there for 4 hours. And Caleb's on there for 14 or 12 or 11. Right. It's just what they do. It's how they work at Christmas time.
But I love to go into the schools. But you were talking about Vanderbilt, and this is one of the things, again, if I've done something well, I've brought people together who either would have been potentially divisive or maybe just competitive. UT and Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt actually has people working at ORNL now, okay? Their students can get that great education and training and experience in their PhD programs that somebody at UT could as well, just by virtue of being in there. I think it's very important that we do that. So Vandy's doing such great work in cancer research. I keep up with Dr. Berlin over there. He's the head of their cancer research. Sure, yeah. We speak all the time and go over that. So anywhere I can help and reach out, I try to do that. Obviously, we have boundaries and confinements in the 3rd District of Tennessee and the state itself, but look, I'll talk to somebody from Alaska to Hawaii to Texas if I can help them.
I lived in New York City for a year. I lived in Indiana for a year. I lived in Pittsburgh for 12. I lived in Cleveland for 1. I lived in Denver for 1. I've been to a lot of cities. And I get active quick.
You've seen the
Nashville
world.
For 2. Yeah,
yes,
I have the country anyway.
Yeah.
So, but I don't think I've ever come across a town. Pittsburgh has its. I consider myself a Pittsburgher, but I mean.
I know he likes those Steelers and he likes those Penguins. He had the Stanley Cup for a day.
He did.
I
did
drop
have
it,
Stanley
Somebody
Cup.
dropped it.
Nobody dropped it on our team. It was me and one of the players and John Shuey from Oak Ridge. And we had the cup, and every player got it for a day in '92. Yeah. So we traveled to all these little cities. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Not growing around hockey. People were lined up in these small towns on the streets, on their porches, waving. We're coming down with a cup in the back seat, and we put it out, and he'd sign autographs for 45 minutes. Then we go to another community. We did 4 communities that day, so it was amazing. And there's a lot of things inscribed on the inside of the original cup that people don't know about. But really, all good and positive in a great way. A lot of traditions.
So you were talking Pittsburgh. I interrupted you.
No, but I love Pittsburgh, and nothing will ever measure up to my time in Pittsburgh and my love for that city. But Nashville is the most proactive, positive city. I never heard anybody in Nashville complain about Nashville. Whether you're in North Nashville, South Nashville, everybody loved their town. And I don't think I ever saw that anywhere else. I mean, it was...
Nashville's booming.
Of course, I was there a long. Dick
Yes.
Bolton was a great mayor. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, Nashville's booming. Great healthcare interests there. Probably the strongest, largest private healthcare portfolio in the country. Obviously, the country music. The Predators have been great for Nashville. The Titans have been great for Nashville.
They're going to put a dome on there. I don't know how I feel about that. I guess we don't have that bad of winters, but I guess.
But no, it's a great city. It's a growing city, and I've had a lot of friends move there. But again, it is a higher cost of living and a higher tax city. If we live in Hamilton County or some of our rural counties, the tax base is lower and things like that. But what's nice is you've got the option to have a big, strong, growing metropolis like Nashville there. I really wish we would have gotten the Republican convention there. I wanted that desperately.
Great city.
That
Where
fell
did it go?
apart. Milwaukee.
Okay, that's for next time, right?
That's for next time. In 2 years, I'll be there.
Yeah.
But
you always are on the floor. I just think there's a lot of things that go on in Tennessee that we take for granted. It's just such a great state. And I think Randy Boyd's been an enthusiastic, proactive leader.
He has.
I give him a lot of credit.
ET, yes.
And I, we can go back to McWhorter was a good concern. We got all these things going on. But I always say Bill Haslam's the best leader we ever had. I just loved Bill Haslam. And he was a moderate who ran a conservative state effectively. He allowed conservative policies, but at the same time, he demanded discipline in spending and budget. I'm just a Haslam guy.
Bill
I'm a Haggerty guy now, but I was a Haslam because they're all mixed together too.
Yes, Haggerty's got legs. I talked to Bill last night. Bill is good. He looks the spot. He acts the spot. He taught himself Japanese. He was state ECD commissioner.
Investment banker for years.
Senator. Yes, and we talk a lot. And I've become kind of, not only for him, but really for just about anybody in Congress. Even President Trump asked me about Oak Ridge. Talk to me about Oak Ridge and the portfolio that we do here. President Obama did that as well. Secretary Granholm, I visited with Biden the other day. It was just more salutary than it was substantive. Yeah. And I mean no cut by that. But presidents come to me, and McCarthy said it probably best when he came to Chattanooga a couple of years ago. He said, you realize that because of Chuck Fleischmann's representation of the city of Oak Ridge and all that it does at its lab, at its Y12, UPF, and cleanup mission, that anything in DOE, they will come to me and ask my opinion. And I always give them an honest, straight-up opinion. And, of course, you talked earlier about Ernie. I like to tease Ernie because he's a Democrat. But when he was secretary, we would sit down, and when we still talk, I can sit down and say, look, let's talk about this type of a nuclear reactor and where it is. Let's talk about reprocessing where you think you are. We don't always agree on things, and his scientific knowledge is far beyond mine.
Yes,
okay,
of course.
He's MIT nuclear physicist and the like, but my practical application, that's what I do best as a generalist. Sure. I gather the information, I process it, and then I apply it, I think, very well. And then I bring people together to get it done. So,
and the biggest difference between in my world and other worlds in some areas is that people that are that academically skilled and everything spend a lot of time on each subject.
Yes.
Whereas as generalists, we want to move through the frames, and that's the difference. How does this work? How do we make it work, et cetera?
Yeah.
And that's the deal. But you always stand back and observe and really appreciate brilliance. And when you see a guy like Ernie Moniz and others, you think we've been blessed in this country with a lot. Of course, we had Alvin Weinberg here for 2 generations.
And I can go through the national lab. But right now, I'll mention her by name. Dr. Kathy McCarthy is my fusion teacher. Mm-hmm. She knows fission and fusion. The lab went out and got one of the best people in the world there. So when I had to step up and take the lead on fusion, and Alan, you know this because you know me, I wanted to make sure I had a very good working knowledge of this, and they sat down and they did a tutorial.
When they're going to give you the fusion committee or whatever it's called, caucus. It's a fusion caucus. Is that a move? Is that a pretty smart move by people that are pro-fusion?
Yes.
To let a Republican like you lead it and get it out there and hopefully build some support.
It is, but you see, and let's talk about caucuses in Congress.
Let's do.
Caucuses are not partisan. You have Republicans and Democrats who have a common area. Now you have the baseball caucus, right? We're in that. Okay, we got that. Or the sportsman's caucus. But the Fusion Caucus will be a coalition led by me of Republicans and Democrats who believe in the future of fusion energy. And what we will do, we will host companies, get information, and then craft legislation that is hopefully bipartisan and bicameral. We have senators that like to come over sometimes and visit our House caucuses because they're always welcome because they're so good. So pick an area. It's not glamorous, but I'm the head of the Nuclear Cleanup Caucus. I'm going to be the head of the nuclear recycling caucus.
Okay, so let's talk about Cleanup Caucus.
Yes.
We've recently got a cell approved.
Oh, yes.
Which took a decade. But
12
basically,
years.
12 years.
Yeah.
Which basically, folks, is that our landfill here is almost full.
Yeah.
And we needed a place to take all of this contaminated, lightly contaminated. What's the word I want to use? Not light, but whatever. Low grade.
Yeah.
But we got to bury it somewhere.
Slightly dirty.
We got to bury it. Uniforms, buildings, bricks, for clothes. We got to bury it somewhere. And we needed a cell tied into CNS out there in the Y12 area. Big cell so that UCOR, and all three plants will have a place to put that stuff.
Excellent. Probably the second hardest thing I've ever gotten done in Congress. First thing was fully funding the Chickamauga Lock done, okay, down in Chattanooga. That's another story for another day. But Oak Ridge has a disposal cell. On the ORNL campus, there's about 70 buildings that have to come down. ETTP was one of the best success stories in the world. The largest building in the world, the gaseous diffusion plant. Many people here probably work there over there at that. That has been taken down, totally clean. And what do? Economic development. And it's so important to understand this. In order to complete nuclear cleanup, all around the country, and I lead on this, whether it's Hanford, Washington, Los Alamos, New Mexico, Savannah River, South Carolina, we've got all these sites, Paducah, Kentucky, that want money, resources, and jobs. We needed this disposal cell to be able to take this down, clean it up, get this land back into Anderson County and Roane County and Oak Ridge tax rolls for economic development, including an airport, which we're going to get.
That was my next question.
Absolutely. But none of this
Where's
happens.
that airport located for the people here?
It's in the city of Oak Ridge.
Out by Horizon Center up out there, somewhere out there?
Yes, that's where.
New training center?
And it's not built yet, but it's built on land that was formerly dirty. They cleaned it up.
Okay.
So economic development doesn't happen unless we have cleanup. Cleanup doesn't happen unless we have somewhere to put the cell. The cell is going to be probably full 2027, 2028, the existing cell. Some of the stuff we have to take out west and bury. Okay, we understand that. But a lot of the stuff you can just bury here, and it's fine.
It's expensive to transport stuff to WIP.
So here's the situation. You're right. It is expensive, but I find out we need a disposal cell. For years, I tried to do it. I had to work with the state of Tennessee and TDEC. I had to work with the Department of Energy,
EPA.
and I worked with EPA. Yeah. We kept failing and falling and fighting, and we've got to get it done. Finally, I reached out to Governor Bill Lee, and I said, we've got to get TDEC on board. We need to get this done. He said, Chuck, because I took him through this place here in Oak Ridge, took him through everything, I trust you on this portfolio. We'll get it done. TDEC on board, we got it done. The Department of Energy, through 3 administrations, has worked with me, okay? That's Obama, Trump, and Biden. Worked with me.
All three. Yeah.
All three. To get this done through DOE. I had one leg of the stool I couldn't get. That was EPA. And I called the EPA administrator earlier this year in January, and I asked him a rhetorical question. I said, sir, I've worked on this for years. Are you an environmentalist? And it stunned him. Like, what? Are you an environmentalist? Yes, I am too. Work with me. Trust me on this. Look at the data. Do your due diligence. I've worked on this 12 years. We need a disposal cell to get down these dirty buildings, to clean this whole place up, the mercury remediation, all of these different things in this city. We owe it to the people of Oak Ridge. It's a federal obligation. He approved it and signed off on it over a month ago.
That's fantastic.
So we're going to get it built. And we're going to have a celebration in the city of Oak Ridge. We had public input. One of the greatest communities here in Oak Ridge, I'm so proud, is Scarborough.
Yes, very much so. Beautiful community.
Great community. Everybody was brought in and brought to the table. We're getting it done. It's going to be safe. It's going to be built. And guess what? Not in my lifetime, but probably in probably 40 years, 30 to 40 years, we'll have all of the old site cleaned up, and the entire Oak Ridge Reservation will be totally clean by then.
Airport. Here's what I get. People come up to me at the health club. I need you to tell Fleischmann this. I need you to tell Fleischmann this because everybody knows we're close. But it's about 50-50. But the one question, and I met with Sean Gleason over this.
Great guy.
The question is, how are we going to pay for it?
Okay.
We've got one in Cleveland. We've got one here.
Okay.
The question is, we're just not going to make it.
Well, we are going to make it because
we're self-sufficiency. We have to have some subsidies.
Right. Well, I am 100% committed to an Oak Ridge airport. And let me tell you why. Oak Ridge is the single largest community left in Tennessee. There are smaller communities without a municipal airport. Most people who come into Oak Ridge, understandably, fly into McGee-Tyson, great airport. Every once in a while I fly in and out of there about 10% of the time. But if the Secretary of Energy wants to come in, she has to fly into McGee-Tyson. If corporate leaders want to come in, McGee-Tyson. Radioactive isotopes, which we produce here.
This is the big asset.
Okay? They
Half-lives.
half-lives are short. You've got to have an airport to get that out of here as soon as possible.
Is there enough revenue in that business to help build it?
Now,
that's what I'm worried about.
Okay, candidness. Most, if not all, smaller regional airports, most lose money on their own. But the economic impact that they have for a community more than pays for it. When Bradley County, when Cleveland built their airport, it has been a boon, okay? So, what is the blueprint for the airport? We cleaned up this land. We got it back from DOE. Thank you to 3 administrations' work, actually 2, Obama and Trump. They got these parcels of land back on our tax rolls, and for free. Okay, they were originally thinking about charging. No, we got everything
Municipal
back.
airport pay taxes?
It will. Well, this is what's going to have to happen. The City of Oak Ridge, Anderson County, and Roane County are all going to have to decide what their financial commitment is going to be. But my commitment will be to be getting some federal dollars for that, to properly build, properly construct it. It will be a 5,000-foot runway. Now, candidly, I'd prefer 10. 10 just won't fit. If I could stretch that to 7,500, you just want to be able to get better, bigger, stronger planes to fly in. Okay, so
you expand your customer base.
Exactly.
I mean, that's
if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
But we've got to get this done. I've worked with our mayor on this. Of course, I've worked with Mayor Gooch to get a water plant.
Mayor Gooch has made significant impacts with his leadership. I give him credit.
He has. You just drive along where that mall was. When I was elected, we didn't have a mall there. They kept talking about it. And you drive along there. It's been great for the tax base. And guess what? Oak Ridgers and Knoxvillians are coming over here, and other people to shop.
Mostly, you get the Roane County, Morgan County people.
Yes.
And they come down on Illinois Avenue, and they don't keep going.
They don't go to West Knoxville.
Now they can come here. Obviously, they go there for some things.
Sure.
But bottom line is, now we just need a couple restaurants.
What a good mall. Yes. But heck, you've got some nice fast food eateries there and some chain restaurants. What a renaissance, and what a good thing for the city. There's no reason why this great city, with $7.4 billion of federal investment and other investment, and more coming. It's coming to Oak Ridge. I'm telling you, fusion companies are coming. Fission companies are coming. We're doing groundbreakings. This community is doing so well. There's absolutely no reason why the future shouldn't be brighter, but we've got to get an airport here. We're going to get an airport here. I'm committed to building it. And let me give some kudos to Gooch.
Yeah.
Gooch is a damn, I'm an R. I mean, he'll call me up sometimes. We're buddies, and he'll chew on me because of Trump or something like that, and I'll chew on him because of Biden.
Yeah.
But when it comes to putting our Oak Ridge hat on, we work together.
We're all on the same team.
And we.
You have a pretty good working relationship with Ellen Smith and some of the other councils.
I do.
Yeah.
I really do. She disagrees with me fundamentally,
sure she does.
ideologically, but always very respectful and the like. And then we got folks like Chuck Hope who agree with me. Okay.
Yeah. Chuck's a great guy.
He's a great guy, and we ran.
You know what I like about Chuck? He goes out every day and makes a living.
Yes, he does.
He never worked for the government. He never. He went out and if he doesn't put new tires on the car or fix the brakes, he ain't gonna pay his bills.
Your elected leaders in Anderson County, in Roane County, and in the city of Oak Ridge, and I deal with them almost on a daily basis, are committed to the success, as am I, for this community, and that's the best thing. So whether it's an R or a D or an I, we are committed to getting the work done here. We spend years working on it, and so far, just about everything has come into fruition.
We have a new mayor in Roane County, and I think very proactive development was on the show 3 or 4 months ago.
Wade Cresswell.
So, and he used to be with the Roane County Alliance. What do you see in Roane County potentially? What can happen over there?
Roane County is a special place. It really is. I've always loved Kingston on the water. I spent a lot of time on July 4th there. Harriman's beautiful. Rockwood's a great community. We have some new businesses coming into Rockwood, Midtown, and of course, part of the city of Oak Ridge, wonderfully, the lab actually sits all in Roane County. So Roane County's got a lot of potential. It doesn't have the population that Anderson County does. It's about 25,000 less, I think. But great things there, committed leadership. Wade's going to do a good job. Great traditions in Harriman, great traditions in these local cities, but coming together, unlimited potential.
Wow. Okay, so we got Roane. Now my favorite, Morgan.
Okay, sure.
People in Morgan. I mean, they don't want you to bother them too much. They just want to.
No, but they kept me in redistricting.
Yeah, they did. You talked about that over and over again that year, and I said, look, Morgan County's solid. They got solid people. They do well. And I want to keep it. It's 2,000 votes for 3,000. Who cares? The point is that they're getting better representation from you than somebody wouldn't care.
Yeah. Not my cup of tea because I'm the Catholic that doesn't drink or smoke, okay? But Roane County, that's right. So that's confessable, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
So, but be that as it may, Roane County has a moonshine factory, and it works very well at the old Brushy Mountain Prison. If you ever went up to see Brushy Mountain after it closed, it was like something out of a horror movie.
I played basketball there in 1977 with the inside the maximum.
Oh my!
In the old gym, and had like 62 points. It was the best game ever shooting. Everything went in. You know how it is sometimes.
Yeah.
3 days later, they had the biggest race riot they ever had. 3 of the players got killed instead.
Wow.
So I mean, it was a different world back then.
But they got a federal grant. They've got that is now a tourist attraction. Industry is coming in there. Pennsylvania Amish, Pennsylvania Deutsch, have come there because Pennsylvania overregulated how they could build and live their lives. They said, we want to come to Tennessee. Another example. So Morgan County is doing very well. Good economic development. Needs some help. We've gotten some really good tourism dollars in there. They've got a great tourism facility. There's a new restaurant there. Going to do exceedingly well. It's got its challenges, but it's a smaller rural community with a lot of hopes and aspirations, but doing much better.
I've told this story there before, but when I was a senior, I was a baseball pitcher, and basically got up to my senior year and didn't really mix in with the Oak Ridge kind of baseball community at that time. I played for Oakdale.
You did?
They had the best pitcher in the state, guy Jay Evans.
Wow.
It was Dennis and Harriman retired, but he was
left-hander.
Oh,
wow!
And the old Spawn and saying, teams that played us would say, we got to have Bocek. We can't play against that other guy. Bocek throws 82 low,
Wow.
But he was the greatest, and he was the left-hander. I was right-hander, but played one summer together. Travel.
That's
great community. Have you been up there ever? I mean, it is so pretty. You go over the bridge, and it's just, you're up in the high mountains. I love that place.
The bridge is beautiful. Sunbright's a beautiful community. Wartburg is nice. It's got the old courthouse there and the square. And what they did, they took Tanner's, which was there for years, and they've just totally revitalized it. So if you ever want to go up and just have a nice day and spend some nice time, they've got some restaurants and eateries up there now, and just go up to Morgan County, and good people. Not a lot of population, not a lot of vote up there, but very, very proud of their traditions. Great radio station up there. Ed Knight's got a wonderful radio station up there.
Gospel music, right?
They do it all. They
Oh,
do
do they?
talk and
Oh, I
very
didn't know that.
substantive. Yeah.
And one of our, a young friend has something up there. He has the online newspaper. And
Yes, he does.
Yeah, and he has
We got two newspapers up there.
They got us too.
And
Yeah, Tommy Francis.
Tommy
Thank you,
Francis,
Brant.
gosh, I remember him back. He used to work up at the prison.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I will say this.
Loves
Horaeus.
politics,
Yeah, loves politics. Horaeus is up there. German company invested and has expanded in Morgan County. And what they do, they go into computers and they take out all of the reusable parts. They smelt them down and get the rare earth and wealthy metals out of it. And they sell
And
that.
let's not forget the greatest single-A football program in Tennessee history, the Cofield Yellow Jackets.
Cofield.
We love our Cofield.
Yes,
That's it.
I
know.
went, what did I go to the? I went to the Cofield game with you.
Yeah.
We gave out hot dogs years ago.
Yeah.
I think
Hard to
our buddy
throw in the stands. It didn't really
didn't
work.
go through well in the stands. That's exactly right. Our buddy was eating all the profits. Steve,
Which one? Steve? Who was that? Who was eating our profits?
Our buddy Bob.
Bob.
So that was eating
Merry
all the hot
Christmas,
dogs.
Bob.
Merry Christmas,
Love
Bob. We love Bob.
All right, so your staffing and
Staffing's
everything.
great.
Everything's
Wow.
great.
District DC, best team I've ever had going forward. We had two great.
Some changes this year.
Some changes.
Behind us and in front of us.
Yes. Great staff Christmas parties. We're on the same page.
So let me jump there real quick because we only got 5 minutes left. 10 minutes. So that's right. We started 5 after. I forgot. But I want to talk a little bit about these committees in closing.
Sure.
You have asked for, according to the Washington Post, and everybody, you have asked to be on Labor H as the chair, as the cardinal there, or to be on Energy and Water. Two really good,
Yes.
two. Obviously, Labor is off the charts good, and you may also serve on Defense, possibly as a committee member of that department. 3 of the most powerful committees, et cetera, et cetera. You're on Homeland Security, but you prefer to move on to one of the other 2 committees.
Sure.
What's the impact on the other 2?
Okay, I've got to think of the great state of Tennessee and my constituents first, okay?
Yes.
So I've had the privilege of being on the Appropriations Committee, the committee, 10 years.
10?
Okay, I got on, Boehner put me on there right after my first term. So I've been on that committee. I know that committee well. I know the 12 subcommittees. Even in the minority, I served on 3 subcommittees, which is unheard of. Usually you get 2. There's some in the majority that only get 2. I've got 3. So I was the ranking member, highest member on Homeland Appropriations Subcommittee. Yes, I've done that well. I know that portfolio. I've always been on Energy and Water Appropriations. That's Oak Ridge, that's Chickamauga Lock, that's funding all of DOE, the Army Corps of Engineers. And then...
And the Coast Guard.
And the Coast Guard. Well, Coast Guard is actually in Homeland Security.
Okay.
With TSA and with Secret Service.
Okay.
That's why I'm so popular with the Secret Service guys when they see me. So, but they told me I had to go on Labor, Education, Health, and Human Services if I wanted Energy and Water. They told me I would hate it. I ended up loving it. It's a contentious committee, but I get to fight for all the pro-life riders in that. It's the healthcare portfolio. It's the labor portfolio, education. It's the second largest pot of money to defense. So those 3. Now, what I've asked for, you're right. I've said I want to move up. So I want to chair either the Energy and Water Subcommittee of Appropriations or Labor, Education, Health, and Human Services. And I also want to get placed on Defense Appropriations because that's good for the country. And it'll get me 3 A subcommittees on the A of A full committees, and hopefully continue to drive up.
And people need to understand when you're the chairman, you write the bill, you draft what goes and doesn't go. You vote, but you draft it. You have a lot more influence on things.
Now, I didn't say it the other day because I would disagree with this, but it was very nice. Marcia and Bill, in my view, are the 2 most powerful federal politicians in our state. But somebody said, you get this portfolio and you will be that. I disagree with that because I don't like to compete with my friends in the Senate. But my strength and my power and influence will will continue and will grow infinitely if I get that Cardinal slot.
Chandler, Brad, let's do one more 2-minute break, and then we'll come back and close it off.
Yep.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. A My Social Security account allows you to access your earnings history and benefits information, request a replacement Social Security card, get a proof of income letter, estimate and apply for benefits, and more. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security. Securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
This is my husband, Alex Hussey. Alex is about 2 weeks away from coming home.
I was point man in foot patrol, and I stopped on the bomb. Lost my legs and my left hand in an explosion.
And he suffered a severe traumatic brain injury.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
There are so many mountains to climb, and we do it together.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories great and small.
To watch Alex take on this mountain, that's what this is all about.
DAV provides a lifetime of support to veterans of every generation, helping more than 1 million veterans each year.
Alex has conquered this mountain. That's something he won't forget.
With the right support, there are no limits.
Look at that smile! You did it!
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won.
This has meant so much.
Thank you, DAV.
Alex Hussey, thank you for your service. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
We should never lose sight of our health. To keep moving forward, let's not forget everything we've learned. Limit the salty food options. Make your own daily exercise routine. And always receive regular checkups. More than anything, we have learned how important these small steps can make a big difference, so we can all continue to move forward together.
Hello, I'm District Attorney General Dave Clark. My fellow DAs and I successfully fought for new elder abuse laws and procedures that have police departments and agencies using improved tools to protect our seniors. Victims of elder abuse are often unable to recognize or report abuse themselves. They need your voice. If you suspect abuse, contact local law enforcement or adult protective services. Let's work together to protect our seniors.
We're in the final 4 minutes of a 2-hour discussion with Congressman Fleischmann, exclusively, getting tired, exclusive interview. One thing, everybody, what's going to happen with the Speaker of the House? What are we going to,
Sure.
Bill Caucus says there'll be some votes not against him. He's going to have to go past first ballot. Maybe.
I think he will. I've been public in my support for him prior to the election, during and after. President Trump endorsed him this week. I think that will certainly help him.
On the right, yeah.
There's 5 or 6 members who are either not going to get there or say they're not going to get there, and that's their prerogative. But I've served with McCarthy since I've been in Congress in several capacities. I do think ultimately he will get there. So our listeners know, internally we have already elected him to do, since November, the internal rules and things that we've set up in the House. We've elected McCarthy, Scalise, and Emmer as Speaker, Majority Leader, and Whip. Elise Stefanik is Conference Chair. So we've done our internal elections. Now, the only election yet to be had will be the one that counts as on the floor on January 3rd. That will be for Speaker. Under the Constitution, anybody in the United States who's a lawful citizen over 25 could be elected Speaker. So, I mean, Alan Beauchamp could be elected Speaker of the House, okay? But the reality is it'll be somebody from the House. I really believe McCarthy will win that vote, and I don't know if it'll be the first or second ballot, but he should prevail.
You think you get there? And we're pretty comfortable that Schumer's going to stay in the Democratic control?
He already has, as is McConnell. They've already had their elections.
And they're ready to go.
McConnell will be minority leader, and Schumer will be majority leader.
And people need to understand that with Herschel not winning and us sitting on a 51, now they can proportion who goes to what committees. It can be 8-4, 7-9, whatever. Whereas we've been running a split managed conference, right, where they both had equal power and everything was equal. No longer.
50-50, and now Biden's judicial nominations to the federal courts will sail through. That is bad. The Herschel Walker loss, unless now Sinema just became an independent.
Yeah.
I know her very well. Served with her in the House.
Seen her in the club, yeah.
Actually, delightful lately. Yes, saw her at the club, and she'd show up to our parties, be very affable, very friendly. Now, in her heart of hearts, she's a progressive. She's no conservative, okay? I've had those talks with her, but she's a very nice lady, but she will be an independent. There's two other independents in the Senate. Now, the key question, I know him well, was Joe Manchin. Can I ever tug him over to the Republican side? I don't think so.
Too much cold tradition there, too much history.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But Joe and I visited last week, actually at the White House, and we had a big talk about nuclear. I told him, I said, I'm going to be chairing the nuclear reprocessing caucus, and he goes, come see me, I want to talk to you.
Yeah.
That's good. So
I like him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's an old school kind of guy.
I wish he were a Republican, though.
Yeah,
get more Republicans.
not everybody can be a Republican.
Got to put my little partisan hat on.
And you know, but the real deal is that we're only a few percentage points apart from having more influence in the Republican Party.
Absolutely.
In a year of 2020, when it wasn't great, you were talking about the numbers. We gained seats. We cut it from 20 to 5, and this time we went up 6. So I think the country as a whole is pretty comfortable with moderate and conservative representatives on the end. We have gridlock, usually good for the economy, but I don't know what's good and what's good.
Well,
How's
Alan,
Brenda? Good?
Brenda's great. The family's great. Thank God. God is good. We've got a great country.
Merry Christmas to everybody, and thanks for watching.
Merry Christmas, and God bless.